Tri-Cities Sports Now. I am Marky Billson. I was talking a little bit about what you heard on the sports update, what with the Titans signing Kevin Byard to a contract extension, giving a safety big bucks. Now, admittedly, you do want to pay your stars and such, but yeah, there is the question, are you going, is that such a good idea to pay a cornerback, to pay a safety in the case of Byard? Look, Eric Berry has been non-existent for the Kansas City Chiefs in recent times. They seem to be doing pretty well, don't they? Even without this great safety. Pointed out here, so you start wondering, what's going on there with the Titans? Is there a reason why they're always mediocre? And it does seem to be that is the case, does it not? The question is now, are the Jaguars, are they also in that same boat? Talking about Colin Cowherd, critical of Jalen Ramsey's contract, says you shouldn't pay a corner. In 2020, he'll make $13.7 million. A lot of money on a cornerback. Now, I mentioned that the Steelers in 1995 lost Rod Woodson for basically the whole year. He tore up his knee in the first game, came back sparingly for the Super Bowl. It was a rapid recovery, and all this, but it was like the first time anybody ever tore up their knee and they weren't placed on IR. The Steelers were sort of like hopeful he'll come back, make this record recovery, and he did, but he was, he played. It didn't start the Super Bowl. He played it, and the Steelers lost the Super Bowl anyway, so. But the point is, they were able to find, on their own team, replacements. They had a guy named Willie Williams, who was from Western Carolina, actually, led the AFC in interceptions, given the chance, basically. They also then moved, the Steelers that year started 3-4. Yeah, I know this stuff, okay? Yeah, the Steelers started 3-4, didn't look like they were going anywhere without Woodson for a while, and they moved a safety by the name of Carnell Lake, who was a very good player. He actually played with the Jaguars for a while. And they signed him to big money, and come to think of it, then the Jaguars went 13-3. Jeez, so, But the thing is that you will be having, they moved Lake to corner from safety. He became a shutdown corner. Right after that, the Steelers won 8 of their last 9 regular season games, and I guess, 10 of their last 12 games. Losing, what was it? They lost one game. They lost the last game of the year because, here we go, 24-year-old football seasons, okay. Receiver dropped a pass at the goal line down by 5 points in the last play of the game. It was Yancey Thigpen, I think. And then he played for the Titans, if you remember. And then there was the Super Bowl. Okay, so you have that. But the point being, where do you spend your money at? And Cowherd brings some interesting ideas. I would suggest to you that the extension, if you are saying, should we save money on the cap, it would have been a greater sin to, give the extension for the Titans to Byard a safety. A safety is, what's a safety? Well, he's not big enough to play linebacker. He's not fast enough to play corner. That's a safety, right? Having a couple of shutdown corners, because the Jaguars, that's what they're looking at. Ramsey and A.J. Boye, is that how you pronounce his name? It's the 8th highest paid corner in the league. I had to be able to pronounce his name. A.J. Boye, B-O-U-Y-E. They don't give me a pronunciation guide here, so I'm just. But no, I was 2 shutdown corners. That actually works pretty. We can discuss this, but here's the one thing the Jaguars, I think, could not handle, and it probably is why you want to pay those cornerbacks. Look, Nick Foles may have a Super Bowl ring. You can't deny what he did as a backup quarterback with the Eagles, and he actually did have one good year as a starting quarterback, and the Jaguars are hoping they'll have many more, obviously. But primarily, you got to figure out, and I know that they've taken some hits for drafting him, but I really think Leonard Fournette is got the chance, even in pass-happy NFL football, to be a great running back and, to take the Jaguars, far. And I think that he did. Certainly 2 years ago when the Jaguars went to the AFC Championship game. So I'm a Fournette fan. And I figure that the Jaguars will probably run the ball more than most of their NFL opponents by design. They fall down 21-0 in a game. Well, maybe you can't run so much, but you get the idea. If you are going to be a running team behind Fournette, and I think the Jaguars still want to be that, then doesn't it make sense, since they'll be playing more of a grind-out-the-clock game, trying to win more 17-14 than 27-24, doesn't it make sense then to have shutdown corners so that the other team can't refute an offense that's designed to get 7-minute touchdown drives by connecting on the big play? That's the only counterpoint that I would make in terms of Coward's, criticism of the Jaguars paying their corners, and why I would say that the Titans have made the more egregious sin signing Kevin Byard to the extension, if they have. They're not paying him because he stinks, let's face it. Just they're paying a safety. There you go. Sorry, safety. One thing I didn't necessarily agree, as I said before, with Coward's idea of give the money to the left tackle after the quarterback. And I know where he's going with that, and I understand it. But the thing is, I can tell you, like I said, it's not as difficult to find a left tackle. It can be. I've seen, we talked about this, the loss of, look at the Vols last year, pre-Trey Smith, and he wasn't playing that much, if you're talking about one lineman, he would also play some guard, but talk about the Volunteers pre-Trey Smith and after Trey Smith. I mean, night and day. So we get that. But then again, it's like, well, get some 5-star recruits on the line. You can find other guys to bump into other people. Okay? It's not to diminish the skill of the offensive line. You have to have a good one to win. But it's still one man in a 5-man unit, even if it is the primary pass protector. And so, I've seen teams that have lost a left tackle and they didn't have a good backup and they were destroyed. I've seen that happen. But it's a lot easier to replace a left tackle and as a quarterback. And I've also always felt the Denver Broncos, if you look at this, they, during the first Elway era, when they made 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, they may have lost them all, but they didn't have significantly high draft choices on the offensive line. And I know I'm repeating myself here, but, Orlando Pace didn't put the St. Louis Rams in the Super Bowl. They drafted him number 1. It was Kurt Warner. That's when they started to win. Pace was already pancaking people on, his side of the line. What's more important, who do you pay? You can always find another tackle. I'm telling you. So, there you go. And I understand when you say, well, pay the left tackle. Find a good one, you probably, But I can also tell you that, okay, if a emerging star, boy, it's time for my big money contract after I sign my first one, and I want the moon, maybe you let another team pay him the moon. And you find that veteran left tackle who's always been pretty good is just trying to stay in the league and earn those paychecks for another 2-3 years. If you want to go to a cycle or you want to find another left tackle and draft, fine. I mentioned the Denver Broncos back when the early Elway era, they never drafted linemen high. They'd find them off the free agent wire. They did very well, didn't they? And that's because you can always find another tackle. Spend your high round draft choices. You can discuss money, if that's any different, but spend your high round draft choices, my opinion, on skill players whenever possible, if not impact defensive players. That's what you're looking at. So, Billson philosophy on how to develop a football team. Anyway, but like I said, what with Taylor Lewin, and it's interesting. I wonder if there's if you can appeal his 4-game suspension with the Titans, as I change the subject markedly, but I want to do that with Lewin. I mean, he's saying, hey, look, I've passed a test. I didn't do this by design. I didn't do this intentionally. Problem is, you may not know that the speed limit is 35 when you're doing 70. You still committed the crime. That's the problem. So, Titans, though, just do appear to be going around in circles and such. I told you I was going to talk to you about Tennessee's basketball schedule, and I haven't gotten to that. I'll get to the next segment here, which is coming up next. This is Tri-Cities Sports Now.